you think about India's economy, you really have to start with agriculture. I mean, it is the absolute backbone. It's this massive symphony of soil, sun, and water that literally sustains a nation. So, how on earth is it all organized? Well, first, let's just wrap our heads around the scale here. We're talking about a sector that nearly 60% of the entire population depends on for their livelihood. That's not just a statistic, it's a way of life for hundreds of millions of people.
With so much at stake, there has to be a system, right? A rhythm that guides this immense effort. How does it all work in a country with so many different climates and landscapes?
Well, the secret? It's the monsoon. The arrival and retreat of those seasonal rains, that's what orchestrates the entire agricultural year. It's like this incredible natural clock that's been setting the pace for farming for centuries. And this brings us to the core idea behind it all, the cropping season. It's a really simple but powerful concept. Basically, different crops get planted and harvested during specific times of the year, all perfectly aligned with the weather. Okay, so here's the roadmap. The whole year is basically split into three main acts in this big agricultural play. You've got Kharif, Rabi, and Zaid. Let's walk through each one, and you'll see how this amazing system feeds a nation. All right, let's start with the big one, the main event, the Kharif season. You'll also hear it called the monsoon crop. This is when the fields truly come alive with the arrival of the rains. You see, the timing is just everything. Sowing kicks off right when the monsoon starts, usually around June and July. Then the plants grow all through that wet season and are ready for harvest a few months later, in September and October. So what's growing during Kharif? Well, these are the crops that just love water and heat. We're talking about huge staples like rice or paddy, which literally needs flooded fields to grow. But you also have other essentials like cotton, millets like jowar and bajra, maize, and soybean. They all just thrive in those hot, wet conditions of the Indian summer. Okay, so after the monsoon rains pull back, the weather cools down, and that sets the stage for our second major season, the Rabi, or the winter harvest. Now for the Rabi season, the whole cycle kind of flips. Farmers sow their crops in the cooler, drier months from about October to December. They grow all winter long and are then harvested in the spring from April to May, right as things start to heat up again. And this is the season for another one of India's absolute monster staples, wheat. I mean, just think of all the rotis and breads. Alongside wheat, you've got things like barley, peas, gram, and mustard, and even vegetables like onions and tomatoes do really well during this cooler time. So let's just nail this down because it's super important. There's this really clear distinction. Kharif is the hot and wet season, completely driven by the monsoon. Rabi is the cool and dry season, which relies more on stored ground moisture and irrigation. They're two totally complementary cycles that make up one complete system. But wait, there's a third season. It's a shorter one, kind of like a quick bridge between Rabi and Kharif. You can think of it as the summer serenade of the agricultural year, the Zaid season. This season fits perfectly into those hot, dry summer months, right after the Rabi harvest, but just before the next monsoon arrives. It's a really short window, from about March to June, and it's perfect for crops that grow super fast. And this is where you see just how efficient the system is. Farmers use this gap to grow all sorts of amazing things, like refreshing watermelon, muskmelon, and cucumber. You also get some quick-growing pulses like moong dal and even fodder for livestock. Absolutely no time is wasted. Of course, India is a huge and diverse country, so this national rhythm has all kinds of local twists. Just take paddy, right? The main kharif crop. Sowing in Andhra Pradesh might kick off in May, but in Assam, it's a month later. And in Bihar, that window stretches all the way to September. These regional calendars fine-tune the whole system to local conditions. Now, this ancient rhythm is absolutely incredible, but today's farmers, they're facing a whole new set of challenges that go way beyond just watching the clouds. So let's take a look at farming in the modern era. You know, simply knowing when to sow and when to harvest, that's not the whole story anymore. Modern farmers have to manage everything from the health of their soil to controlling pests, and that requires a completely new level of skill. For instance, just take pests and diseases. Every season brings its own threats. During the Rabi season, farmers are constantly on the lookout for stuff like rust in their wheat fields or aphids attacking their mustard crops. It's a constant battle.
So, how do they fight back? Well, one of the key strategies is something called integrated pest management, or IPM. This isn't just about spraying more chemicals, it's a much smarter approach. It involves things like rotating your crops, planting varieties that are naturally resistant to disease, using biological controls, and just constantly monitoring the fields to catch problems early.
And this is where technology is just changing the whole game. It's not just about traditional knowledge being passed down anymore. Today, digital tools are becoming this incredibly reliable partner for farmers, helping them make decisions based on actual data. And the tools out there are getting amazingly specific. You've got Parth AI, which is basically a digital advisor that analyzes your soil and tells you the best crops to plant. Or Krishi GPT, which is like having an agricultural expert right in your pocket, ready to answer any question. Even water management is getting a high-tech upgrade, with controllers that let farmers operate their pumps remotely, saving tons of precious water and electricity. And that brings us to our final thought. This incredible system, built around the predictable rhythm of the seasons, has sustained India for millennia. But as our climate changes and weather becomes more and more unpredictable, the real question is, how will this ancient rhythm, this blend of tradition and new technology, adapt to keep feeding